The learning process. 5. Tools for Phase 2 interviews. Remember that during Phase 2, the tools are designed based on methods such as interviews and group exercises. We will now have a closer look at the interviews which, in the context of this learning process approach, are conversations guided by questions and are known as semi-structured interviews. The interview script includes an introduction section where the time frame to conduct the interview is established and is adjusted according to the availability of the interviewee. The context of the experience to be analysed is explained, and where permission to record the session or take notes is requested. Additionally, a confidentiality clause is presented where the interviewees are asked whether they authorise including their name in the learning process report and under what conditions. The questions in the script help guide the conversation and get the interviewee's perception and knowledge about the key issues being analysed. In a semi-structured interview, the questions are not read verbatim or in strict order. The interviewer can adjust the script in order to have the best conversation possible with the interviewee. They are free to paraphrase the questions to make them understandable for the interviewee. They can also decide during the conversation some of the questions are unnecessary and may instead explore other aspects in greater depth. The interviewer must be able to ask questions, request further details, and follow the thread of the conversation when an unforeseen topic arises that they consider relevant for the purposes of the learning process. It is particularly important both the interviewer and the interviewee have enough context prior to the conversation. Finally, it is essential that the interviewee's availability be consulted and respected, and that the confidentiality clause be recorded and maintained. 2 types of interviews can be conducted in this phase: a basic interview and an in-depth interview. The basic interview is a short interview in which the script is structured based upon some general guiding questions. Successes, failures, gaps, perception of achievements and difficulties, challenges, enabling or limiting conditions for the development of the experience, lessons learned, and of course, recommendations. This type of interview is applied with people who, although they are connected to the experience, aren't necessarily aware of the day-to-day details, yet their perception about the experience is of interest for the learning process. Normally, it doesn't take more than 30 minutes, if conducted individually. Because of its characteristics, the interview script can be applied individually or to a group of 2 or 3 people simultaneously, taking care to always record the different answers. It is not necessary to look for consensus or a unified response. Simply capture the voices of the people being interviewed. The in-depth interview script is structured based upon the guiding questions for each key issue. Remember that the key issues, as well as the guiding questions, are determined during the framing phase. They are the issues or areas around which the group of key actors wishes to reflect and gather lessons learned and recommendations. We recommend that a maximum of 10 in-depth interviews be conducted with people carefully selected. The criteria to select these people, and even the selection process itself, should be carried out during Phase 1, setup and framing. Several in-depth interview scripts can be designed, even one for each key issue, if necessary. It is also possible to design one script and decide which questions will be applied to which people and which can be left out. We have learnt that due to the characteristics of this script, it is better to always apply it in individual, not group interviews. To keep in mind, there are in-depth interviews that can take up to 2 hours. It is important to warn the interviewee when setting up the appointment, face-to-face, virtual or by phone, to determine if this can be done in one conversation or in several moments. We recommend including in the in-depth interview scripts the same introductory section and reminder notes for the interviewer, the basic information sheet, and of course the confidentiality clause. An important recommendation. The group exercises, the workshops, focal groups, etc., are often designed using the in-depth interview scripts as a guide. Given this, those people who participate in an in-depth interview should not participate in the group exercises, as it would be repetitive for them. Now that we know more about the interviews, we will focus upon the group exercises, which favour the development of collective thinking to capitalise on lessons learned, recommendations and general reflections.